And thank you very much for joining us once again on PM Express. You know that the NPP is going through a series of elections. They've done with the polling stations, they are going to the constituency. This will go all the way till they elect a presidential candidate. And the man who is going to be steering the affairs, that is, if he himself gets elected again for another term, is my guest on PM Express. He's John Boadu. He is the general of the party. Let's start with the polling station elections that you did recently. In the bigger context and the bigger scheme of things, yes, there were isolated incidents, because you just mentioned these are thousands and thousands of polling stations that did elections. There were few spots. Nonetheless, it caught your attention. The party held a press conference to address it. You promised to deal with it. You're going to, I guess, a more contentious area. So constituencies coming up, you yourself are up for elections, and you have, the parliamentary, then ultimately you're electing a presidential candidate. Have you resolved all the issues in the polling station elections that came up?
We've not been able to resolve all the issues, because there are a few of them that they've even placed injunction on, with individuals thinking that they were not allowed either to pick forms or to contest. So a few of them we've not been able to resolve.
Have you found that it's true that people were hoarding? I mean, I'm just curious about that, because that was the main people hoarding forms or interference from outside.
In some cases, yes, we had that report. It is for that reason why we put together what we call Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee, headed by Honorable Cecilia Abnadapa. They've sat down, they've met most of these people and the complaints and the challenges. They've brought their recommendations that we are going to put in place. But you see, one thing.
Well, what are some of the recommendations? I'm curious.
Oh, for some of them who genuinely couldn't get access to the forms, they've asked that in some of the polling stations we must rerun the polling station. You know that. But that is not the real problem. The real problem is, even after getting the forms, going through vetting is another major hurdle that if you are not very careful and the party is not on its feet, you get a lot of people also being disqualified at that level. So that is another area
that process?
Of
and that's you're right. I mean, many came out to suggest and mention people's names. I won't mention them here because people came to deny that they were manipulating the process. These are members of parliament, party executives, who they accused of trying to manipulate the process. In fact, even some of the aspirants, presidential aspirants, were accused so because of the knowledge that these were going to form the base, the core for the elections going forward. They were the true delegates and the power brokers, and so everybody wanted to influence the process. Is that perception from outside, or you are inside? This is reality.
I wouldn't even be surprised to hear of even President Nana Akufo-Addo, who is not going to contest again, being accused of even manipulating on the ground. I've had the unpleasant duty of receiving almost all the faults at the polling station level that in reality I'm not involved. But the fact of the matter
is some of that happened.
The fact of the matter is that the interest in the polling station elections, electoral area coordinators elections, constituency, region, and national, is huge. Huge because it is the foundation of everything.
True.
The foundation for which you elect electoral area coordinators will be the polling station.
No, you get it right, you get the right people to lead the party.
Not just getting it right, the interest is huge because almost everybody's chances depend on the polling station, on the polling station thing. So I'm not surprised that the interest is so high. The other aspect that most people didn't look at is the interest by the individuals, party people, who, for me, is huge and it's an advantage to the party. If you are not very careful, you may think that, oh, this party is dull, the situations are not very good, so the party is not active. But if you go to polling stations, and the fact that people are ready to queue even at dawn, just to buy polling station.
But John Boadu, why are you surprised? You are a party in power.
It is not just that.
You are a governing party.
No. It is not just that. We've seen governing parties whose supporters have abandoned them.
You are a juicy fat cow.
No. But
a lot of people will be interested, obviously.
What you must realize is that even getting the forms is not enough. You go through vetting. So even the fact that you are in government and people will just want to be there, that it's not conclusive. You understand? But I'm saying that the interest that is generated on the ground that I saw, clearly, there were even constituencies that even before the day for reopening of the nomination for polling station elections, constituents were holding press conferences accusing constituency officers of holding votes.
But you know they will because you are in power. You've been in opposition before. Has it been the same?
We being opposition has been almost the same.
Yeah, almost.
And sometimes I say almost the same.
People were butchered in the
when we're in opposition.
No, I'm talking about now.
No, when we're in opposition, it happened almost the same because you see, sometimes we are even more active in opposition. But I'm seeing the interest shown now as a clear manifestation of the willingness and ability and the zeal of party people to ensure that in 2024 we succeed ourselves.
Isn't this self-deceiving?
Why
people are actually there because of what they think they will get from the governing party.
You see, one thing you must recognize is that one thing you must recognize is that the political risk one take in being a polling station officer or electoral area or constituency is higher than all other considerations. I've seen people as officers of the party who, through the work that they do for the party, have been killed, have died through accident, have lost their jobs, have not been able to secure even further jobs. So it is not just about how much do they pay peanuts at presidential elections where close to 200,000 people are voting. How much is any presidential candidate capable of giving to any polling station?
And the polling station gets paid by the party?
Nobody pays them. You can pay them. How are you going to pay 200,000 people? So it is not about what they will get. It is not. Far from that. The political rate is higher. And I can assure you that for anybody to own up and decide that you want to be an officer of a party calls for the person's real dedication and loyalty to this tradition more than just the perks. But I have known people, just as I've said, who have gone through a lot. Look, if you become polling station executive known by everybody, will you be able to go and look for a job in the civil service or go and look for a job even when your party is in power? What about your party loses power?
I mean, that's possible. Let me ask you, you said the committee report came back and said rerun some areas. Which areas specifically?
Oh, I will not be able to tell you directly, but
are you going to see major reforms beyond rerunning going forward, apart from putting the forms online? Are we seeing some major reforms?
By the next 4 years, you know, we are evolving as a political party. After all, we've run in this democracy not more than 30 years. And if you look at our systems and practices, we are almost the best performing political party ever. But the kind of things we are doing.
What's the basis for this very bold declaration?
For instance, the basis is that throughout last year,
you said?
Yeah.
More than the CPP of Dr. Nkrumah.
And what happened? Where are they? You see, the fact of the matter is that, look at last year, even when there was COVID, we're the most active political party around. We managed to organize.
Because you are in power.
It is not
It's easy to do this in power.
Who told you? It's organization. It's not just about being in power.
But you are in power.
Please, it's organization.
It's a fundamental difference.
No, you reduce things to resources. It is not.
It is about resources.
Is not just money. It's about human capacity. It's about thinking. It's about putting structures in place. You can have the resources. After all, the NDC had a lot of resources during 2016. Were they able to put together their figures? Were they able? Because they lack human resources to be able to do that. So it's not just about being in power.
You've done this. You've been at the helm you were there for 2016?
Yep.
You've been there for 2020?
Yep.
You won 2 elections.
Yep.
Why do you want to do this again?
Personally, I would have loved to take other challenges. Unfortunately for the party, we are going to 2024 election, and naturally, per the constitution, our presidential candidate, who is our president, will not be there. We'll have a new presidential candidate. We'll have a new running mate, obviously. Our national chairman says he's not going to contest again. Our national organizer is not contesting again.
True.
Our national youth organizer is moving to national organizer. Our treasurer is moving to national chairman. Going to such a critical elections where everybody is saying that there's a myth of an 8-year cycle, you need to present a political party that comes with experience, comes with knowledge, comes with understanding of what has happened. So if the General Secretary, who is almost the fulcrum of everything that happens in the party, also decide not to contest again, you really see that you are going to present a face that will not be able to withstand the challenges going forward. It is for that reason that I felt that with all the investment that the party has done in me, right from university days back to being a constituency secretary in Ablekuma South, being a regional research officer 2001, being a national youth treasurer in 2003. I was even a finance director of the party 2002, youth organizer, national organizer, deputy communication director. I don't see any individual that the party has invested so much in over the years. So I felt that why will I want to leave the party now and go into, yes, there may be other, and there are other lucrative areas that I can decide to live and enjoy now. But I feel that we have a task ahead, and the task needs a stronger hand to be able to push all other executives that will join for victory in 2024. That's the more reason why I feel that
you come to this next attempt on the back of a historic victory in 2016. In fact, the margin you want to buy, and General Secretary has to take credit for it.
Nobody credited me for that.
Well, I am crediting you for it.
Nobody did.
I am crediting you for it because you're the General Secretary of the party.
No, nobody did.
The chairman will get the same credit. All of you deserve that credit. It was historical, almost 1 million votes. It's never happened before. I doubt if it will ever happen again. So you have that history in your back. However, the level of success in 2016 you can't beat it. So then you come to 2020 and you have this, again, another historic slide because of the number of votes you lost. Not only the number of votes, the seats you lost in Parliament, nearly losing Parliament, nearly. You created a hung Parliament. That definitely is a massive negative that your opponent will use against you. What's your own take on that? Does it diminish you as a General Secretary going into 2020?
The opponents will use it because they don't even know how the party is run in the first place. The opponent will use it because they don't understand the issues in the ground. The opponent will use it because they are just saying it because they've heard that others are saying. You understand? But if you do critical analysis of what it is, check in the year 2020, in the midst of COVID, how many political parties in government won elections when they contested elections in the year 2020? The almighty Trump lost. Angela Merkel lost the election. The party lost. And a lot of political parties, if you go to India, they lost the election in 2020. We were almost the only political party that won under COVID in 2020. It should tell you that because of the challenges of COVID, for instance, a lot of the things that we expected to deliver, for instance, we only grew by 0.4%, which is never happened in this country. Throughout the world, only about 30 countries had a positive growth, and Ghana was one of them. Our management of COVID was par excellence in terms of annals and history of how COVID is managed. That is the only reason why we managed to win. You win an elections with an overwhelming snatching of votes from your opponent, 55 of them.
Which election, 2020?
That is 2016.
2016,
we snatched 55 seats from our opponents. Out of these 65 seats, 23 of them we lost the presidential, won the parliamentary. What it should tell you is that we benefited from skirt and blouse from our opponents. The moment our opponent put their act together, you lose all the 23. It is simple. It's just simple. If you take a Kumfi, for instance, our parliamentary candidate won with around 35% because of challenges in the NDC of matters arising out of the primaries that they weren't able to resolve. The moment they put themselves together, you won't win it. Youre constituency. The NDC candidate lost the primaries, contested as an independent candidate. Obviously, in 2020, when he didn't contest as India, that's why you saw Bid sitting there. I can cite many. Look at Okoboy, for instance. He won from a deficit of 1,800 in 2012 to a massive victory of 13,000. No, a deficit of about 14,000. Won with around 1,800. The NDC still won the presidential with close to 8,000. So the moment they put their act together, you are not going to win. You understand? Coupled with the fact that there were a lot of interventions that were done by government, which was positive, only that it has negative vote catching arrangements. For instance, things about restructuring the financial sector. Obviously, it's a good thing. If it had not been this government that was in place, will have now been swallowed by the mess good of our world and all kinds of arrangements. And most of these financial institutions that didn't have the required capital adequacy ratio will have run, and we all will have lost our deposit. Government decided to take a decision. It will affect people. You remember that towards the election, there were a few people whose money were in some of these discount houses, and they were organizing demonstrations all over the place because they had not had their money. I personally was even a victim because I was running a microfinance around Agbobloshi area. And these are areas that people with low incomes, they invest in us. They get cheap funding, and they are able to turn around. Our microfinance was brought out. Do you think that people living in those areas will vote for you? But it is important that government took that action in order to ensure that vast majority of our people's income and deposits will be protected. This will lead to a lot of votes that you lose. You understand? So, as we speak now, look at this Ukraine-Russia issue. What has Akufo-Addo got to do with it? But Akufo-Addo will be punished for high inflation, high depreciation rate, high fuel costs and all that. So that is what you get: incumbency disadvantage and incumbency advantage. So these are issues
I listen to you because the challenges you've just described that, predated the 2020 that led to the losses that you suffered, it's even more pronounced now. Ukraine, Russia, you're recovering from COVID, the economy is in crisis. So it begs the question.
The difference
it appears as if you're saying that 2024, you probably didn't lose elections.
That's why you don't know. The difference is that in 2020, we won 17 constituencies that we've never won before. And in most of these 17 constituencies, we lost the presidential. So the possibility of even losing the 17 constituencies is pronounced. But the catch is that we lost 49 constituencies that we ought not to have lost. So, for instance, you take Ayensuano constituency, you take Akwetia, you take Formina, you take Upper Denchira West, you take Okankwe Central, Okankwe North. You see, so if we are able to manage this process very well, we get less friction in those areas. We manage to internally manage ourselves well. These 49, we are going to even get close to 35, 40. Even if we lose about 30% or 40% of the 17 that we snatched, you understand? It means that we are getting majority in 2024 and winning the presidential. So but if you don't know...
But the circumstances you describe just simply means 2024 will be tougher than 2020.
No, 2024 will be a bit better than 2020.
Because haven't changed.
No.
If for anything, it's worse now.
No. Wait. You don't seem to.
The economic conditions you described were better in 2020.
We've not even come to economic condition. I'm only telling you the political arrangements.
So you believe that these seats can be overturned with a bit more hard work,
and getting your acts together, strategy on the grounds, putting our acts together and all that. That can be overturned. Then the different ball game with our economy. You understand?
But let me ask you a direct question then. I gave you full credit for the 2016 election victory.
This is the first time hearing that.
Do you take full credit for the losses in 2020?
Yes, I do. Because it is a decision of the party. And one thing that I should let you know, and people who don't know how the party is run, is that the party, for instance, a decision to let anybody be our candidate is the sole responsibility of the National Executive Committee and by extension the National Council of our party. What is done is that after National Council set out rules and regulations, inbuilt in that rules and regulations, we will have various vetting committees headed by various people of our party. They go out there and do the vetting. They bring their reports back to the steering committee, to the National Executive Committee. So when the National Executive Committee takes a decision that X should contest, Y should not contest, it is a decision of the National Executive Committee. As General Secretary, what is sought, you implement the decision of the National Executive Committee. I shudder to want to understand anybody who, in his right thinking, want to be General Secretary, who is going to tell us that for him, when he becomes General Secretary, he's not going to implement the decision of the National Executive Committee, and he's going to implement his own decision. You can't do it. It's not possible. So it is the collective decision of the entire party. And if you talk about the National Executive Committee, the composition is made up of the national chairman and all the national officers, the president, the vice president.
So everybody else takes the blame for the losses that you suffered. But you are the general secretary.
Obviously.
So you take So I mean, I want to take a quick break. When I return, I'll return to the subject of his ambitions to lead the party, because they are very formidable opponents who have also thrown in their hat into the ring there. Some his friends, some former members of parliament, some mayors who are all seeking to unseat him. I wonder what his thoughts are, because the field is growing and everybody wants his job, and he says he wants to go again. He's defended his record, but some may look at that as mere excuses. But can he convince the delegates with the explanations he's given? Will the delegates buy into the explanations? I'll get his thoughts on that. But we'll talk about the polls also. The polls say that the party is so unpopular, they are set to lose the elections. As you've heard the EIU, a global, the Global Analytics Survey today, but I've seen the Daily Guide say there's another research that says they will win. What's their own polling? A party worth its salt. He says they are the best acting political party,
best organized
political party,
not only in Africa.
So they should have their own research. Their polling telling them where they are right now. What is it telling them? Return, I'll ask him those questions. And thanks for staying with me on PM Express. My guest is still the General Secretary of the NPP, who is seeking re-election. He's given us his reasons for the defeat, and he thinks he's still the man for the job. But Mr. John Boadu, you have a growing field. You have Parian San, who is a formidable former member of parliament. You have Musa Superior, former mayor.
Formidable mayor.
Well, they are formidable. I mean, he's contested elections. He's won a parliamentary election before. I mean,
he won a parliamentary election where?
Opariansa.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, he's thrown in his towel. He's thrown his hat into the race. He wants to contest. At least I can count 4 people who say they want to run against you. That field is large. They believe that there's a chink in your armor. They found a fault in there that they want to exploit. I pointed that out to you. They said they'll point to 2020 and say he's diminished. You don't want to keep a diminished and limping general secretary into 2024. They have an argument. How do you deal with that?
They really don't have an argument. I took over as General Secretary when we had 122 seats, not 137. I took over as General Secretary when the party almost every now and then is in one problem or the other. I remember in 2015 alone, our National Council of Elders met the national officers close to not less than 14, 15 times in a year since I took over this party. I have never been invited, the entire party invited to settle any issue at all. I've brought entire peace and tranquility in the running of our party. The kind of things that have developed within the party in terms of support the party.
Such as? Be specific.
For instance, there's no party that supports its party constituency region on a monthly basis ever.
So you pay them now on a monthly basis?
We not pay in terms of salaries. We pay for their operations.
It's never happened to the NPP before?
No, nobody has been able to do that.
Not when you were in power in 2020 to 2028?
No, ever, never.
So it happened under your watch?
It happened under me.
What did you do special to make it happen? This is because the man behind you, decides that.
No, it is purposeful decision and wanting to invest where it's important. I remember when we were about starting this process, we decided that in 2017 thereabouts, when we decided to open nomination for orphan constituencies, the resources that we got, we could have used it at our headquarters. We invested wisely and began the process of supporting our constituency party on a monthly basis. And since then, we've been able to do it consistently. It has never happened before. This is a party, if you are looking at the most successful period of our party all time in history, that we've had the highest votes, highest parliamentary representation. It is 2020 and 2016. And that's where I was General Secretary.
2020?
2020, we've never had 137 seats in Parliament before, ever, in our history.
But of course, I mean, that's also because you've expanded the number of members of Parliament.
Even before you expanded, we didn't have it.
But we've never had a hung Parliament before until...
No, we were going to have that. No, wait. We are going to have that in 2008.
Yeah, but we never
did. When His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won the presidential, if he had won 50% plus one, we were not going to even get a hung parliament. We are going to have a parliament that the sitting president is minority in parliament.
But the fact we didn't have that.
You see, and even that, it is a negative for us. If we had, I would have wished that we were able to win one touch and even get minority in parliament in those days. You know, so it is nothing strange that has never happened before. I'm saying for those who want to throw in their hearts, as you are saying, well, they just want to also give it a try. You understand?
But you think they won't pull you down?
Oh, I don't think so.
Frederick Parensa is a former member of parliament. He knows this game.
We know his game of what? Running a constituency. Yes, that one I agree. But he still ran it into a level that he lost the parliamentary primaries, internal primaries. Said that whoever took over from him increased the margin ever. So if we had not been careful, we would have lost the seat in Zoom. You understand? So it's not just about being the longest serving in parliament and all that. We are talking about a national party. We are talking about rallying the entire 6 million people behind the party. We are talking about organizing the party in 275 constituencies and over 28 branches throughout the world. That is the point that we have. So if you manage just a small place and you think that that is enough, well, you don't even have experience. None of them, well, maybe Opare may have attended one national. I haven't even seen him in national executive before, ever. You understand? So, and you see, sometimes they will say, oh, when you became General Secretary, you also didn't have an experience of a General Secretary. The difference is clear. The difference was that I was the National Youth Treasurer. I was the National Youth Organizer, for which reason I was a member of National Steering Committee, I was a member of National Executive, I was a member of National Council. I was a National Organizer, and for which reason I was a member of Steering Committee, National Executive, National Council. before I acted as General Secretary. So it is not the same as somebody who has never even attended some of these meetings before. And I've never had experience of organizing on a mass scale before. But this is our party, and this is democracy. Look, Macron, he was contested just last, and he won massively. And
yeah,
the margin
wasn't as big.
Oh, you see, one thing you must also realize, that politics is a process, and timing determines a lot of things.
Let's talk about the timing then. EIU, Global Info Analytics, in fact, from 2020, momentum is on the side of the NDC going into 2024. The argument is the NDC is winning in 2024. At least EIU predicts that. Do you accept that?
I think that you read EIU in much details, and they gave reasons for their conclusions.
True.
And one of their major reasons is that if the NDC present their same presidential candidate, they won't win the elections.
No, they said that they can enhance if they introduce, if they change.
Read well.
They can enhance. They use the word enhance. Read well. They can enhance if they change.
Read well. Read well.
Which means that they will beat you, but they can do far better if they have a different candidate.
I'm saying that do read very well. If you look at the analysis, clearly, they alluded to the fact that we have economic challenges, which is global in nature. They alluded to the fact that our performance in the management of economy from 2017 to 2020 was par excellent. They alluded to the fact that because of these challenges, if we are unable to turn things around, it will obviously affect it.
Can you turn it around in 2.5 years?
We can, because even these measures that were taken within the last 3 weeks have turned the fast depreciation
with a historic downgrade of the country's economy by Moody's and others. It's never happened before. CD depreciating.
You said
no, I'm talking about the downgrade.
Our rating has never been downgraded before.
No, it has been, but not to the level it has been historic. Just a few things. Inflation at 19% plus. You have CD depreciating.
We took over inflation in those days.
Yeah, you turn it around. Yes, but under your word, this is the highest. You have the CD depreciating. You have workers now complaining for increases. The economy is hard. You admit that the president has admitted that. You're saying that these unique factors with Ukraine, with COVID, you will turn it around in 2.5 years.
Your view is that we will not be able to turn it around. Is that what you are praying for? Your view is that the crude oil prices will not come down from 120 plus as we speak now.
Because the reality is that no government in the Fourth Republic has faced the combination of challenges that you currently face.
And you think that it is the fault of the new
president? Even if it's not, it goes to tell whether you are able to turn it around. Because nobody has dealt with it before.
I'm happy that you acknowledge that it is not the fault of the present government. It is something that will.
Well, I haven't acknowledged that.
Can I finish? No, you.
Well, the World Bank Director says a lot of challenges were there before COVID.
You've agreed with me that.
What I agree with you that the challenges you face are unique.
They are unique, and we are
able.
We are able to turn it around. The challenge we face is the same challenge that the U.S. government faces. It's the same challenge that the UK government faces. It's the same challenge that the German government faces.
But you're not comparing yourselves to US. They can turn it around.
So we should compare ourselves to Togo? Or compare ourselves to...
monkeys must play by sizes.
To Cameroon?
Monkeys must play by sizes.
What? You see, but I'm saying that in the midst of all these challenges, just last 3 days, sitting president had won an election. So it is not strange.
But that's not. That's not an accurate comparison.
Can I finish? So it is not, unless your prayer is that we are unable as a government within 2 years to turn things around, just as we were able to do when things was
your down. City was the worst performing.
Can I finish? City was worst performing before we took over in 2017. Yeah. We turned it around.
And it's been worst performing in this quarter.
No, it is because of the unique challenges that you are referring to. And unless, of course, you want to remain as a pessimist.
Other countries had the same challenges. They didn't have the same level of depreciation.
Other countries had the same challenges. They've not been able, they can't even feed themselves.
Which country?
If you go to Germany, they can't even get vegetable oils. They can't get wheat.
Because of Ukraine.
But are we living in isolation? If you go to Egypt, they are unable to get common bread.
Okay.
But we, because of what we are able to do by investing in agri, adding value to raw materials, although it is challenging, although prices are increasing, things are a bit better.
Although a bit better.
A bit better, and it could have been worse.
Really?
Because if your CD was depreciated
today,
by 30%,
things are a bit better.
Can I finish? When we talk about inflation, what do you mean? What you mean is that general price of goods and services are increasing. So even if inflation is 2%, things are not better than previous times. So at any given point in time, you can say that things are not better. Because the fact that there's inflation of even 1% means that prices of goods and services are increasing on the average. So things are a bit better because of the slowness of the depreciation over just these weeks. And I believe that with the measures that we've put in place, we are even looking at, we touch on these benchmark values that we want to remove in order to ensure that we empower our local producers and all that. But because of the sudden nature, if we are not very careful, so we are phasing it out. These are measures that we are putting in place in order to ensure that our local base is strengthened, because we cannot rely entirely on imports and imports and imports. So I'm surprised that you think that we cannot do things to turn things around.
No, I'm just asking the question.
If you are unable to do it, we are affected. But I can assure you, the Ghanaian people, listen to me, the Ghanaian people knows. It's not as if
they know that you will turn it around.
Not just that, but they know that the effects on the economy is not generated internally, not entirely. Because they see across the world.
You think they care about how this can? They're just simply struggling right now.
I don't think you think that the Ghanaian people are gullible. I don't think that's what you are thinking. I don't think
but
that
you are
the
man at the helm.
I'm saying that I don't. That's why we offer the explanation. That's why we'll be able to tell them.
So you believe the Ghanaians accept it?
No, I'm saying that that's why we'll be able to tell them that with the kind of management expertise that we have and the experience, without all these unique events outside our control, we're doing this. So if we are there, we'll do far better. What is the alternative? This alternative, the NDC, is that what we are talking about? It will be worse. So it depends on how well we'll also be able to put together our communication. We'll be able to put together how things are and the way forward, and hope for the future.
Let me put a direct question to you. Do you at least admit that where we are today, which is a Tuesday, the NPP, in the midst of everything that's happening, is a bit unpopular?
I wouldn't be surprised that a lot more people may not be happy about how things are because of how the economy is. That has been, because if you look at even the economy for 2022, for instance, government was going to rely on revenue from the e-levy, for instance, to do a lot of things. It didn't happen for the first quarter. So the kind of things that government wanted to do with the e-levy has not materialized. And this is going to affect the generality of our people. So, for instance, if you have contractors that have not been paid yet, for instance, the roads will not go on, and people who contractors owe will not be able to get their resources for their own daily activities. So for now, if I sit here to say that everything is rosy, maybe I'm behaving like you who think that nothing can be possible. But I'm saying that everything is not rosy. But we are capable of turning bad situation around. We've done so for the past 3 years before COVID.
So at
and
least,
we'll be able to do so.
So at least you admit that as we speak right now, the NPP is not as popular. It's not popular. You're unpopular a bit right now. You admit that.
I think that you only want to hear that. But
I'm just asking based on the current realities of today.
There's no political party in government now that is popular in the eyes of its people because of the challenges that the whole world is going through. Go look, listen to the polls in US. Biden, all-time low. because of the challenges we are facing. You understand? Almost every country, and we are not an exception. You understand? But I'm saying that because we have the expertise, because we are capable of turning things around, given the chance, and with the measures that we've put in place, I can assure you that
very finally, whoever you elect will come up against John Mahama is almost certain.
It's almost certain.
John Mahama is going to run again from the NDC. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in that.
Against the views of EIU.
Well,
that a better candidate will be in their interest. A better candidate will be in their interest, and that will enhance their chances.
Looking at what he clawed back in 2016, he definitely poses a bigger threat than anybody else.
This is somebody who had all the arsenals and of government. He was in government, he was a vice president, he became president for 4 years. He had close to 150 seats as against 122 of the NPP. Had all the resources together, couldn't manage it and lost it massively. He
gained by 500,000 votes.
He clawed
after that. He was dead and buried in 2016.
Look, listen to me. It's like staking lotto. If you stake lotto, you stake 250 and results is 350. You came close, but you didn't win. You understand? So it doesn't matter. He lost by 1.1 million plus.
Yeah, but he gained a lot.
Gained what? And lost.
Gained 500,000.
And lost.
And nearly knocked you out of the park in Parliament.
I'm saying that what is the gain in gaining if you don't win? That is what it's about.
But you admit he has a momentum. He has a momentum now going to the next election.
It's 50% plus one. I'm praying that just as we believe in the EIU report, that states that until we turn around the economy, it will be difficult for us to win. But EIU report also recognized the importance of leadership. And what it means is that leadership of the NDC and NPP will also be a determinant. And I'm hoping with this process that we've started, the NDC, they've not been able to start any process. With this process that we've started, we'll end up electing a leader that may have the sterling qualities, who have experience behind him, who will be very, very knowledgeable and understand the process, who will also appeal to the generality of our people. Because if you are saying, I don't know whether he's the same person they are bringing, but if he's the same person they are bringing, there's nothing more to know. Because this is somebody we've known that he's indecisive, he cannot take decisions. I think just recently, Ben Epstein was saying that he lost, one of the reasons why he lost the 2020 election was his indecision as to what he would do with the FreeSHS system. And I don't think that
he said he would review. What was ambiguous about
everything is reviewed all the time. So you've never said anything. You understand? The question is whether or not you continue with the FreeSHS because you kicked against it fundamentally. You understand? So
I'm sure that's a conversation for another day.
I'm saying review. We are reviewing it.
Let me ask you, he may come up against Bawumia or Alan. You agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Plus other people who want to contest.
That we all know is Bawumia or Alan.
That's what you think you know.
You said yes first, so I guess you agree with me.
I said yes plus other people who want to contest.
So you, Bawumia or Alan?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm John Boadu.
Which of them? Which of them? Which of
it's
them?
It's possible that I may even contest for the presidential.
After you, or you drop off of the.
It's possible
of the race to become
and so I'm John Boadu.
Do you support any of them, or you think both of them are fine gentlemen to lead your party?
I'm saying that I'm John Boadu. As General Secretary, I don't have to show my preference to any of them, particularly when we've worked with all of them over years. You understand? I've been like this. I don't know whether you've studied. Over the years, for the past 20-something years I've been working in this party, I've never been X or Y ever in the presidential race. I only do my parts. Whoever the generality of our people choose as our presidential candidate, I work for the person. If I'm in the position.
How crucial that you like the right person, though? knowing all the challenge you face with the 8-year cares, and all the economic challenge you have to turn around, how crucial that you get the right person?
The people on the ground knows better than I do.
The delegates.
And I believe that taking into consideration where we are and where we want to go, they will take a decision that will be, and they've never failed us over the years. You remember in 1992, they decided to go with Dubois. At that time, he was the most popular political individual at that time. 1996, they decided not to repeat Dubois. They felt that even if we lose the 1996, it is better to have another candidate so that we can repeat the candidate in the year 2000.
And they kept faith with him for three successive times.
And that is positive for us. We did so in 2004. 2008, they elected Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He didn't win. We lost again amidst all the challenges and all that. The people of our party gave close to 96% to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to lead us into victory in 2016. You understand? So our party is not a party that is shy of taking far-reaching decisions for the benefit of our party. Unlike others where, even in the face of all the reports, you are saying that then this will still bring John Mahama. I doubt.
Finally, something that is happening in Parliament that definitely will concern you, which is that 3 of your members risk losing their seats because they've been referred to the Privileges Committee, triggered a constitutional provision. In the House, James Sabosu, who leads your party there, was clear that, it's right to refer. Although they had concerns about the 2 others, but of course are on all fours on Adwoa Safo. I wonder what the party's position is on this, because this is a risk that has been taken in Parliament. You have 3 seats at stake here.
I don't think the party will have any other position than to canvass the position of the fact that all of them sought permission before staying outside. You understand?
All 3?
All 3.
That they did seek permission?
They did. And I know they also know. I know they also know. Because I have heard a statement to the effect that, for instance, in Adwoa Safo's case, that the son, I think, need a surgery or something, and that's ensured that she has to stay further than she agreed to stay. But whatever, we are running a democracy, and there's a need for us to set examples for our people. If you decide to be a parliamentarian, you must know the rules, and you must also abide by the rules. And if there are instances where there's a need for you to seek permission before you leave, it should be done. So for us as a party, we believe that it's not something that is going to affect us greatly.
So you mean all 3, you expect all 3 should be cleared by the Privileges Committee? So you don't expect to lose any of the seats?
I expect. You see, one thing about the Privilege Committee is that after their work, they will bring it to the plenary.
But Chairman Sabosu was on the floor saying that shouldn't happen. His position on the floor was that once the Privileges Committee is done, it's done.
You cannot have a subcommittee deciding on the whole. It's like the party. You form any other committee, a committee for vetting, committee for nomination, committee. When they are done with their work, they themselves cannot even issue a statement.
So you expect this to come for plenary?
I know it will.
But you admit that your position that all 3 ask for permission contradicts the leadership of your party in Parliament. They believe
they have said that what?
They have said that Adwoa Safo didn't have permission.
By a statement or what?
I have done an interview with the Deputy Whip, James Sabosu himself.
That she didn't ask permission from the Speaker?
That permission was not granted by the Speaker. Who? In fact, the Speaker himself has said he didn't grant it.
Well, so be it. But I'm saying that whatever it is a learning curve for all of us. If you opt to become a parliament, you must learn the rules. You must know what it means to be there. And it's not as if you are even restricted not to travel. Even if you want to stay beyond the required so-called 15 days absence, even the absence must be with our permission. What it means that you can even be out for a year if you still have the permission of the House. And I believe that Adwoa Safo, for instance, is not a new member of Parliament. This is 3rd time, so she should know. Kennedy Japan came to Parliament around the year 2000, so he should know. Honorable Henry Quarty it's not a novice in this game. So for me, I always want us to test our processes. This is the first time we are experiencing such a thing.
But you're not worried you may lose one seat at least from this?
Just being worried is not a character of a man.
Yeah, I'm just asking. This is a process in Parliament. You've checked with your leadership in Parliament and they share your view.
I'm saying that just being worried is not a character of a man.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it is good the process is being tested. And for us as a party, whatever the outcome is, we embrace it and work with it.
Finally, are you preparing for a by-election as enough?
Yes, by the arrangement and by decisions of the court and by where we are very sure that this litigation will come to an end very soon. You see,
and move on to a by-election. Is that what you're expecting?
Oh, obviously.
Okay.
Obviously, my worry is that you realize after 2012 elections, the judiciary itself took a decision to rationalize the petition arrangement. Only that they didn't touch that of the parliamentary. They did that for presidential, gave a time limit and period and the process and all that. I'm hoping that after 2024, before 2024, that of Parliament will also be done quickly. So that, because there are a lot of issues in court that can take 3 years, can take 4 years. What is the essence of having somebody who is not legitimate rep of a constituent? You understand? So for me, as for saying not...
So you're preparing for a by-election?
We are ready for it. That's why we are a political party. We are ready for it. And we believe that when the decision is made, we are ready to contest.
You will win that seat?
It's a seat we've won severally. It's a seat we've lost twice as well. So it is still open.
Okay. That is John Boadu, confident as ever. Confident in his ability to win his general secretaryship again. Confident in the ability of his party to win.
That is mine of my confidence. The greater one is winning the 2024 election.
I was just coming to that. Confident that his party will win again in 2024. I guess the jury is out, but the delegates will decide his fate later this year. Enjoy the rest of your evening.